Here's your smart fact of the day. Did you know that a total of 34 accounts have exceeded 100 million followers on Instagram? Okay. And the most popular amongst them is obviously Cristiano Ronaldo with over 484 million followers, and Kylie Jenner closely following with 370 million. But did you know that the second most followed brand account was National Geographic? Interesting, perhaps it has to do something with photography. But today, this particular episode of Smarter with Sid is not to praise Instagram creators or influencers, but it is to question Instagram's future. Is Instagram becoming a wasteland of sort? And why has it become that? A bit of an analysis. And maybe to have a think about how to use Instagram, if at all to use Instagram in the near future. So let's go. So a bit of context for this particular episode. I'm in the UK right now, and in the UK, it is clear who's winning. It's clear that TikTok is winning, and YouTube is making a very sharp resurgence, especially with YouTube Shorts. Instagram, with its Reels action and its steady presence, is, kind of nowadays, funnily enough, looked down upon in UK. I'm not saying that's the same case in India, but I think it would be very different if TikTok wasn't banned in India. And India is obviously huge on YouTube already. So I suspect that Instagram is going to face some of the heat even in India. I wanted to just give a perspective on, this and compare it to a class of mine that I was taking 3 years ago or 3.5 years ago, just before the pandemic. And people in India were just getting, used to TikTok being there. And a lot of my students were like, ooh, I don't want to go on TikTok. Instagram's the shit. And essentially were praising Instagram to high heavens, looking down upon TikTok. And I had made a very bold prediction there that TikTok's going to rule the roost. And strangely enough, and thankfully enough for me, it worked. And so TikTok started, just ruling the roost all across the world. And it was doing really well in India before, it was banned. But what if TikTok actually made a reappearance, let's say later this year or maybe next year or whatever? It would certainly be extremely difficult for Instagram to maintain its current position. What I'm seeing in the UK is a lot of creators or influencers are beginning to also understand that they're getting lesser purchase on Instagram than what they were getting maybe a few years back. Now, this perhaps is a sign of the popularity of any program that the platform actually gives. Because the more popular platform is, you're going to get lesser and lesser attention if you're an individual creator or an individual account holder. So some of it is, the price of success that Instagram has, that it cannot give that amazing attention that maybe YouTube Shorts is giving its new creators or influencers. But there's something a little more than that. I believe that all the strategic decisions that Instagram has taken towards making Instagram what it is today is leading it to a place wherein it has become a bit of a wasteland. So here's my analysis on it. My analysis is that Instagram was clearly in, let's just put it politely, in the being inspired by other social media game and adding features to itself. So it started off as a photo sharing app, but very quickly, took on to stories, which it was, let's say, inspired by Snapchat. And then today, we are looking at Reels, which is nothing but a take on what TikTok is doing. But did Instagram actually take a step back and find out whether that is exactly what will make it stand out as a brand? And I'm not too sure that it actually did so. Instagram, when it started off, was clearly famous for introducing a new language, a new visually driven language for millennials and even Gen Zers, but mostly millennials. And it was refreshingly different from what Facebook was, which was cerebral, which was like what's on your mind sort of thing. And it was basically driven by photos. Now, this was clearly taken and embraced by a lot of creators and influencers, especially models and good-looking people and good-looking places and locales and stuff like that. And so that's why it became famous. But if you look at the top creators today, they are more or less celebrities who are famous across platforms or even on mainstream mass media. So it just means that Instagram is being followed for them being celebrities, but not for Instagram being Instagram. I'm going to say that again. They're being followed because of their celebrity nature and because they're famous across platforms and not because of Instagram being Instagram. In fact, Here's the litmus test that I have come to understand, and that is, if you look at any social media and if you look at the top creators, and this was actually given as a piece of insight by my daughter, who was a big influencer across platforms, and she said that if you figure out who the biggest creator on each platform is, then you will find out what the platform stands for. So today, if I look at Cristiano Ronaldo and Kylie Jenner, they are celebrities. I don't know whether they are bringing to Instagram what Instagram stands for. Maybe it's about the lifestyle, maybe it's about their riches and the perfect things to do and the perfect experiences. But I feel that it somehow has lost its edge in projecting what it was standing for when it goes below these celebrities and into the influencers or the micro influencers level. What I've noticed about Instagram is that because of its shift from, let's say, posts to reels, it has become less accessible for people to, be creative. The most important thing for any social media to actually do right is to stand by its community. It's not just the addition of a feature that is going to stop people from moving from one social medium to another. So I don't know whether, just by putting stories there or reels there, Instagram is going to make itself more attractive to the generation that it already holds. Today, I don't think that is the case. In fact, Instagram should probably change its strategy and double down on what makes it really strong for its community. I see some efforts from Instagram towards doing that, in the sense that I don't think that it is easy for any person to just try and flood Instagram with a lot of stuff and become famous. But it still is promoting reels because it still is fighting TikTok. And I think that's a big mistake. Because if I look at, and this is what I call the media test or the channel test, and that's something that we used to do way back in, let's say 20-25 years back. I was with Sony Entertainment. What used to be really interesting was if you covered the logo on any channel which was coming on cable and satellite television at that point in time, and tried to predict what channel you were seeing, you could only understand it recognizing the program that you were seeing. So if I today make you watch one short video after the other, and if I kind of do not show you whether it's coming from YouTube Shorts or Instagram or from TikTok, I suspect that you will not be able to figure out. You realize that this becomes a big problem for the platform itself, because if you're not able to differentiate yourself from other platforms, why should people use you, especially when the other platforms might be better in the user experience that they're creating towards the reels or towards, something else like stories, which Snap does probably way better. So Instagram has a challenge in front of it, and it is to double down on what its community wants, what its homegrown influencers, and how do you look at features and functions which will help the community to get together. Maybe going live, maybe doing something completely different. It started some notes business and notice, but isn't that going this Facebook way, making it more cerebral? So I'm not particularly convinced. And then there's, of course, Be Real right there, which is kind of making an impact on the Gen Z market. So it's a tough road ahead for Instagram, but the lesson for us is to make sure that we differentiate ourselves and our businesses and not try to just copy in a blind fashion, because features, especially if you're being a Me Too, are not going to really serve you and your community beyond a point. I hope you like this episode of Smarter with Sid. Tried to take a different take on Instagram for this one. Many more to come from where this came from. And if you like me, I'm the traveling professor. Follow me on LinkedIn. And yes, I'm still on Instagram. And hey, if you like stuff like this, just go check out what IBM's got in store for you. On that happy note,